has these Zerglings to support, but you want to take things that you're given, and unfortunately for Hasu, the Zerg opponent was given his entire base, and therefore he took it. And now you can see that he's on 2 bases with no production facilities, -1 warp gate, whereas the Zerg player is on 4 bases with the most ridiculous field of spine crawlers. That's 14 spine crawlers, if you were wondering. And he's just got this army of Mutalisks building in his base. I would like to see him throw down, oh, there's the Greater Spire upgrading. I'm not really sure what that's for. I don't really think he needs Broodlords. Do you need a Greater Spire in order to upgrade? I don't think you do. Yeah, you don't really need that. You just need the Hive. So this Greater Spire is just kind of a novelty item at this moment. I'm going to see if there are any units. Yeah, there aren't even any Corruptors out on the field right now, and there are 38 Mutalisks, so not really sure what the point of that is. I would just continue the Mutalisk production. Your opponent is, I guess it's good to get some Broodlords out eventually. Once you get this many size, like Templar, where you can just perma-storm, and you get a ball like that going, oh my gosh, he really needs to separate these into like 2 or 3 attack groups, and not hit multiple areas with them. You can hit the same areas, just hit from different angles. And going to be losing that crucial Templar archive. It's going to have that 1 Templar with no energy chilling there. I don't know, it seems to me that this is pretty poor decision making on Hasu part. The Mutalisk play is completely stretched him thin. In the meanwhile, he's just had free reign to build up forces. He's got this many bases. It's ridiculous. The joy of taking these 2 bases as Zerg is clearly that when he moves to take this one, you just expand back to this one, and when he moves to take this one, you expand back to this one. And if he ever moves in here to take this, I mean, you've got this horribly defended, and I don't know, it's ridiculous. And as well as all the Mutalisks rallied there, there's no way he can even get his army that far forward without you taking out an entire base of his with these Mutalisks. And look, this is his reaction. Well, shit, I have to throw down 8 cannons and build all of my gateways here, and by this point, I mean, he's so far behind in his economy, in his production, that Mutalisks are going to be able to just overwhelm this. As you can see, there's like a full control group and a half of Mutalisks. And then he's doing a good job here. He's got the blink on the Stalkers. He just doesn't have enough. He's got a ton of Templar, and this is great. And maybe even morph 1 or 2 of them into Archons and use those Archons to guard the Templar, because Archons doing splash damage can really F up some Mutalisks. So I really would like to see the +2 go down. I mean, you have this many Mutalisks. You get that +2 upgrade, it's the equivalent of having like 2 or 3 more Mutas in your army. And the Broodlords saying, alright, you build cannons, I'll build Broodlords and hit you from a ledge you can't actually defend. Broodlords are so ridiculous. He's going to be blinking in with the Stalkers, and then he's going to say, oh shit, I need to back up. Of course, these Templar here are going to be, don't storm those. That's bad. So, Haypro is actually controlling, or Hasu is actually controlling this really well. No, stop storming on those. What is he doing? He needs to, if only Templar could blink, this would be great. Yeah, he's just goading him into doing that, where meanwhile he's got all these, he needs to move some of these Templar, and, no storm there. Storm! Yeah, and by the way, in order to storm, you actually have to storm under them, because when you select the unit, it's actually not doing it right now because they're either not my units or it's just the wrong setup. But it shows a little arrow pointing straight down to the ground, implying that's where they are. So you actually have to storm under them because there's a Z component to StarCraft 2, unlike, actually I don't know, there probably is a Z component in StarCraft 1 as well. But yeah, so you have to take that into account. You can't just click on the unit to storm on them. You have to storm underneath them in order to storm properly. So it's pretty effective. Spine Crawler is such a great concept to throw in with these mass Mutalisks, and oh, he is tech to the Ultralisks. Ultralisks with this army is going to be devastating. There's really nothing here to deal with Ultralisks. Actually, though, Archon's great against Ultralisks because they're big enough to absorb most of that splash damage, as well as not being armored. So they only take, 18 or so damage from the Ultralisks to hit. Lots of Templars still rolling in here. So at this point, I'm actually a little concerned for Zerg. He hasn't been able to do that much with these mutas, and the problem with mutalisks is you can have all the money in the world and all the expansions in the world, and have only mutalisks and still lose because of this. Like, this amount of stalkers might actually eat through this many mutalisks. He really needs, I don't actually know what the hell he needs. He doesn't even have the ability to make Templar right now. I don't know where the Templar archives could possibly be. He needs to be transferring those workers somewhere. Maybe even re-expand to here, because there's a fair amount. Maybe not. These Broodlords are really what are going to win him this game at this point. So scratch what I said earlier about no reason to get the Broodlords. Oh, he's going to put them right on top of the Templar. Ooh. Actually went very well in Protoss's favor, even though he should have started attacking those Templar once he was over top of them. It's a nice little trick to do with your Mutalisks. If you're fighting Templar and they're storming, put them on top of the Templar. That way, if they storm themselves as well. And then as soon as they storm, run them out, and Templar will kill themselves. Templar do have the exact same, or actually no, they have only 80 health compared to the 120. So nice little observer who didn't leave the game earlier, like asked, is showing some photon cannons going down in the back mineral line here. Don't really know how important this is. I mean, photon cannons are great for harassing mineral lines, but with such a mobile army, this is only going to delay for a short while, which is fine. I mean, it's worthwhile. So it appears that Hasu is going exclusively Templar because he's no other units building. Actually, no, he's got a side core somewhere. Yeah, it's right there. So he can build the very important Stalkers. He's using these Broodlords to defend. This is a smart play. I mean, at some point you're going to realize that the Protoss player is going to realize how to defend against these mutas, and he's going to get the sufficient anti-air, and then your Broodlords aren't going to be as effective when you're faced with mass Stalkers. And so because of that, he's just slow. Nice. Thank you, observers, for giving me such hilarious things to look at. 3 armor on the destructible rocks. I had never even noticed that. Wow, that's ridiculous. So the drones are only doing 2 damage a hit. This huge army here is moving in, and I think the saving grace to this game might be if he can smash out a few Ultralisks. He's got 4 more Ultralisks on production. He's got the chitinous plating on the way. It should be. If this timing attack moves in, he's got a lot of spine crawlers. If this timing attack moves in, he will be unable to really deal with it unless he gets those Ultras out. And great use of the Mutalisks all the way towards the late game. Don't even bother taking out that pylon. You're just going to rebuild that. The Nexus has so much of an importance. Oh, wow. And so both players are doing some interesting transitions. Going mass Void Ray, even though his opponent has a ton of Mutalisks. He does see the Mutalisk numbers dwindling, so he's probably expecting something else. If these Ultralisks can get some good attacks off on these Stalkers as well as the Templar, then this could really work to his benefit. This has been a very exciting game. Pick off. Oh, he's not going to be able to pick that Templar off. I would like to see Haypro end up throwing down this expansion and at the same time moving about half of these spine crawlers to try and defend it, or even just a few, just so that he can buy time. Although right now this base is really his saving grace. If you can combine Broodlords with Ultralisks, this will be a very effective strategy. And oh, this is bad. As soon as you lose all of your Mutalisks, you are extremely vulnerable. As you can see now, he can start poking in at the entrance. He can take this expansion. He can probably take this one as well, even though it's close proximity to this. He might actually even opt to take this expansion, just because his army is so immobile. If he wants to attack and defend at the same time, he can do that. Which would be a very effective method. Almost about to lose this rich mineral field, so he really needs to do some kind of attack. And I like this, going for this base, much more important. There's absolutely no anti-air here, so he's going to be able to really be effective. This actually could be a good game, just due to the fact that there's no anti-air, and there's not even a queen here to help out. There's going to be no more Broodlords. Broodlords are going to try and escape, but alas, that will fail. And all these Ultralisks are going to be so effective against this army, but unfortunately there's 2 Void Rays which are going to do so much damage to these Ultralisks. Now Ultralisk Corruptor, which is probably what he's going to end up doing. I don't really know. Oh, he GG'd. In light of the Void Rays, he could have got a couple Corruptors out and really handled this, but losing this base is just too much for him. He was on no money at that moment. So wow, Hasu just clawed his way back into that game. It was really awesome. So we are going to be going into the second game, and currently Hasu is up 1-0 over Haypro. So be right back with that.